Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be the first of 3 videos where I'm going to talk about the sun and moon and how they relate to the parental dynamics that were modeled to you or you grew up in, kind of like the family dynamics between your mother figure, father figure. So I'm sorry that the shadow kind of looks weird from my hat, but my hair looks like shit, so so this video is going to be for the sun and the moon, but I will be making separate videos for the sun alone and the moon alone, so just stay tuned for those. But the sun and moon, the sun in astrology represents your identity, kind of like your life energy, your life force in a way. It's your basic general characteristics and kind of what like you know yourself as. And your moon is your internal being, how you emotionally react to the world, who you really are on the inside and when you're alone. And the sun they associate with the father, the moon they associate with the mother. And the father doesn't have to be your biological father, although it can be, but it could just be the father figure of your life or of your childhood growing up. The more dominant parent, the more assertive parent, kind of like the leader of the family, whoever took on that role of being the leader of the family or like the head of the household or the head of the family, that could be like your father figure. And the mother doesn't have to be, again, your biological mother. It could be mother figure, the more nurturing, submissive, feminine parent, the one who is kind of more like the caretaker of the family. Your sun and moon signs really tell a lot about your personality, especially, you know, when you know both of them together and the aspects between them. And this video mainly is going to be for aspects between the sun and moon, because I think, in my opinion, I think we get our sun and moon because they are modeled to us. And this video is just going to apply to the sun and moon in relation to parent dynamics that you might have grown up with or been raised by. And this could show up as certain aspects between the sun and moon, or just where the sun and moon are, and aspects to your sun and moon that don't even have to be like to each other, if that makes sense. Like other planets aspecting your sun and moon, but I will go into that more with the separate videos that I will film for the sun and moon alone. The aspects between your sun and moon can actually tell a lot about the kind of parental dynamics that you are around a lot, because as kids we are influenced a lot by our parents, our environments, our siblings. We get a lot of our personality from our parents, whether you realize it or not, or want to be like your parents or not. That's just the reality of life. We end up being a lot like our parents. And so the way that our parents were as role models to us, or the way that they handled their relationship or their relationships with you, can show a lot in the aspects between your sun and moon, or even just the placements of your sun and moon, or the houses of your sun and moon. So I will talk about what I've seen with certain aspects. I've noticed that people who have the square between their sun and moon, they did have parents who had a more tense dynamic. And it doesn't mean that they never got along, but it could just mean that when there was tension between them or some kind of conflict, it was almost like unspoken in a way. And so you as a child might have picked up on that unseen or unspoken tension, and it has caused that inner tension within you. So a square between your sun and moon could be an effect of that parental dynamic, of a tense parental dynamic, of a parental dynamic where there were certain things that they could see, but then it was like they were doing things in different ways, like maybe doing the same thing but different ways, and they couldn't see eye to eye on the ways that your parents were doing those specific things. Because squares are usually, depending on the degree, signs within the same modality, so cardinal, fixed, mutable, and those signs do have things in common that they're trying to do, but they're all doing it in different ways and in like doing it on different foundations. And by foundations, I mean like the houses. So that could be like one of the issues between your parents. With people that I know who have the opposition, they either had one parent who tried to be both parents, like the mom and the dad, or their parents were completely different. Like they were setting out their own expression or identities, or just had completely different ways of living life. Like I know someone who has the opposition between his sun and moon, and his family parental dynamic was more traditional. His dad was like the one that actually went out and worked and, you know, was like the breadwinner of the family. And it's funny because his son is in the 10th house, and then his mom was a stay-at-home mom, put a lot of emotional energy into him at home, and his moon just so happens to be in the 4th house. So if you have the opposition, and if you have a parental dynamic where your parents were completely different, living very separate or different lives, the houses that your sun and moon fall into could show where your parents were living that life and where it kind of influenced you to have your sun and moon in your own natal chart, if that makes sense. But because they were different and living kind of like different lives and maybe in a more separate way, it doesn't mean that your parents had a bad relationship. It could just mean that they had their own balance, and now it's up to you to figure out that balance as well within yourself in your own chart. And again, people who had the opposition, they could also have had a parent who just tried to do both, try to do it all, try to be both the mom and the dad. So it probably caused some inconsistency in the parenting, the way that one parent parented, or even your parents, if they both were, if you had both parents and you have the opposition, there could have been some inconsistencies maybe with the way that they parented you. Like you got one kind of parenting from one parent and then another one from another parent. Or it could be if you just had one, like a single parent raising you, it could be inconsistencies with that particular parent because you have the opposition. So maybe they tried to be both, and it just caused like inconsistencies in parenting, which caused you to kind of have that like out of balance opposition. So it's kind of like changing all the time. When your sun is up, your moon is down, because maybe that's what you were modeled. And one parent trying to do it all could also show up with people who have the conjunction, because there really isn't much of a difference between the planets in the conjunction if they're in the same sign and the closer that they are together. So that could show as one parent also trying to do everything, or one parent being the exact same all the time with you. A trine could probably show like a laziness with your family, like not wanting to deal with issues, or it could show that they just got along. There was a lot of harmony between them. There was a lot of agreement. But if there was disagreement, there could have been a lot of laziness in not wanting to actually fix the issue, just kind of wanting to like brush it aside and ignore it. With the sextile, it could be that the differences that your parents had, maybe they were able to find something to appreciate within one another and have that as like kind of a solid base or a solid foundation with each other. So the sun and moon, if you're going to think about it in relation to your parents or your parental dynamics that you were raised in, it can kind of be like your perception of your parents, because the birth chart really is like our perception of our lives, of ourselves. So your sun could be like your perception of your father or your father figure. Your moon could be your perception of your mother or your mother figure. So aspects between them could just show like how you perceive them. It doesn't mean that that's how they were, but it's just like what you saw or what you felt, the dynamic that you really picked up on as a kid. And aspects from other planets to the sun and moon could also show how your perceptions were different between each parent. Like maybe if you have more challenging aspects to just your sun or just your moon, it could show that whatever parent you perceive as to be the sun or moon parent, the more masculine, dominant, or more feminine, nurturing parent, that could just show that maybe that's the parent that you had more difficulties with, or challenges with, or, you know, didn't get along with as well as the other parent maybe. But depending on other aspects to the moon or sun. I also like to look at the 4th house and the 5th house. The 4th house can show you the home environment that you grew up in and kind of like where you come from, and especially like the emotional connections that you have with your family or your home life. And then your 5th house is really like how you felt like you could express yourself as a child, kind of like the childhood that you had. Different from your home, like your actual home life, but it's more like that childlike state of just being like free in a way, like just being a kid. The 5th house can really tell you what that looked like. Also, your first house cusp, so like your ascendant, whatever sign is there, whatever planets are in your first house, can show you like the very, very early environment that you were in when you were born. The very first things that you were exposed to as a kid. So looking at these houses, your sun and moon, aspects between the sun and moon, and aspects to your sun and moon from other planets can kind of show you how you perceived your parents to be. And I just gave some examples, but those are just a few things. That's not all of it, because it honestly isn't as easy as just saying you have a square so your parents fought a lot, or you have a trine so they didn't fight a lot. It's not as easy as that. So I'm just giving you some things that you could probably look at if this is of interest to you, to see maybe like where you got this from, the aspects, and why. Why were you given this aspect? What was it about your parents? What was it about what you saw in them that caused you to have certain aspects or placements in your chart or in these houses between your sun and moon in particular from your parents? And this is just like one little small thing that you can add to your sun and moon studies, because I just think that that's why we have the sun and moon, because it's like our father figure, our mother figure. We're modeled this stuff. We're modeled our sun and moon. I hope that this was interesting to you, and thank you for watching.